It was one of those early summer mornings where the air smells like cut grass and promise. The kind that makes you want to linger on the porch with a mug of coffee that's gone cold because you're too busy watching the world wake up. I was out there, leaning against the railing of our old farmhouse in Willow Creek, when I saw her Suva gleaming black Cadillac, license plate screaming HOA, BOA scrawling up the dirt road to my barn. That was the first sign of trouble, and when Linda Grayson, our neighborhood's self-crowned HOA dictator, stepped out in her crisp white blazer, clutching that damn clipboard like a battle axe, I knew my day was about to go sideways. "Mr. Harper," she snapped, not even bothering with a hello, her heels sinking into my gravel like she was staking a claim. "That tractor of yours is an eyesore, and it's got to go." I set my mug down, slow, already feeling the heat creeping up my neck. She was talking about Betsy, my dad's 1968 John Deere, parked out back behind a cedar fence, faded green paint chipped, but engine purring like it was still 68. Betsy wasn't just a machine, she was my dad teaching me to plow at 10, my late wife laughing as we hauled hay bales for our son Caleb's school fundraiser, a piece of my life that no HOA rulebook could touch. "Linda," I said, keeping my voice steady, "that tractor's on my land, not your precious HOA turf. Check the county records, my 2 acres were grandfathered in when you folks annexed us." Her lips twitched, that fake smile she used like a weapon. "The covenants are clear, Tom. All visible equipment must align with Willow Creek's aesthetic standards, and that thing is dragging down our property values." Property values, God, that phrase again. I'd heard it 100 times since Willow Creek went from cornfields to cul-de-sacs. I built half these houses back when I ran a construction crew, poured the concrete for their driveways, knew every fault line in their foundations. And now here was Linda, acting like my family's history was a stain on her perfect suburban dream. "Send me a formal notice," I said, my jaw tight. My lawyer loved to read it. She scribbled something on her clipboard, spun on her heel, and called over her shoulder, "You have 48 hours to move it, or we'll handle it ourselves." The Cadillac peeled out, kicking up dust like a warning shot. That night, I sat in the kitchen, staring at the grain of the oak table my wife, Ellen, used to love. Caleb, my 19-year-old, was out in the barn, welding sparks flying as he worked on some project he wouldn't let me see. That kid's got hands like mine, maybe better, and a stubborn streak that's all his mom. Betsy was more than steel to use it was the summer we rebuilt her carburetor after Ellen's cancer took her. The hours we spent greasy and quiet, fixing something when we couldn't fix the hole in our hearts. Losing her wasn't an option, but Linda didn't care about that. She saw a rusty tractor. I saw my life. 2 days later, it happened. Caleb and I were in town grabbing feed for the chickens. Just a quick run. When we got back to find tire ruts gouged through my side yard, the tarp gone, and Betsy missing. My stomach dropped like I'd been sucker punched. Caleb was already on his phone, pulling up the security cam footage we'd installed after some kids messed with our mailbox last year. There it was clear as day. A tow truck, no markings, 2 guys yanking the tarp off Betsy like she was scrap, and Linda is standing there in her blazer, arms crossed, nodding like a general. "No notice, no nothing," I growled, pacing the porch. "That's theft, plain and simple." Caleb zoomed in on the tow truck's plate, his eyes narrowing. "Got him," he muttered. "I'm running this." He didn't say much after that, just disappeared into the barn, but I knew that look same one I had when I came home from the Marines to find the VA had lost my paperwork and left us high and dry. I rifled through every HOA letter we'd gotten over the years. Not a single mention of a violation or seizure. This wasn't just about rules. Linda was flexing, trying to break me because I dared to push back. But she didn't know who she was messing with, not just me, but Caleb, who'd learned to rebuild engines and outsmart bureaucrats before he could legally drink. The next morning, Caleb came to me with a grin that was half mischief, half vengeance. You know Linda's Cadillac? It's been at Jimmy's Auto for a week, new brakes, fancy diagnostics. She didn't pay up. I raised an eyebrow. And he leaned in, voice low. Jimmy owes me for fixing his tow rig last month. Says he can file a mechanic's lien. Take ownership if she doesn't settle the bill. I'm thinking we make her car into a tractor. I laughed, thinking he was joking, but his eyes were dead serious. Legal, registered, parked right where Betsy was. She wants to play dirty? We play smarter. I should have said no, told him to cool it, but the thought of Linda's face when she saw her precious SUV turned into a farm machine, I couldn't resist. Nothing illegal, I said. He nodded, already sketching on a napkin. Wouldn't dream of it, Dad. 3 nights. The barn glowed with welding sparks. Caleb worked like a man possessed, stripping the Cadillac's chassis, bolting on tractor tires, welding a plow blade to the front. He painted it fire engine red, slapped on a slow-moving vehicle triangle, and named it Linda's lawnmower with a stencil flourish. Every weld, every bolt was legal DMV paperwork, county permits, even a highlighted copy of the HOA bylaws that said nothing about converted vehicles. He parked it exactly where Betsy used to sit, just visible through the neighbor's hedge, a middle finger made of steel and ingenuity. Linda showed up the next morning, stomping across my yard like a tornado in heels. "What the hell is this?" she shrieked, pointing at the monstrosity. I sipped my coffee, calm as could be. "Morning, Linda. That's my new tractor, legally bought, fully registered." Caleb stepped out, holding a binder thick with paperwork. "Want to see the title transfer? Or the agricultural exemption?" Her face went purple, her clipboard shaking. "This is vandalism. You've ruined my car." "Not your car anymore," I said. "You lost it when you stiffed Jimmy's Auto." She sputtered, snapping photos like they'd save her. "I'll have this towed. I'll sue." I smiled, slow and steady. "Go ahead, but you might want to check the county records first." By noon, the neighbors were buzzing. Old man Carter from down the street stopped by, chuckling. She fined me $200 for a birdhouse that was too rustic. "You guys are legends." Then Sarah from Maple Lane dropped off photos of Linda's own backyard, a hot tub that violated her own no temporary structures rule. Caleb set up an online forum, nothing fancy, just a place for folks to vent. By nightfall, it was flooded stories of fines for kids' chalk drawings, threats over unapproved mailbox colors, even a $300 penalty for excessive Christmas lights. Linda had ruled like a queen, but the kingdom was cracking. The real blow came when Mike, a quiet guy who worked at the city planner's office, dug into Linda's HOA spending. Turns out, she'd funneled $45,000 to her brother's landscaping company for a community garden that was just her backyard. We sent that to every neighbor, along with a petition to dissolve the HOA board. Signatures poured in 47, then 62, then 80. Linda fought back, marching door to door, ranting about our criminal conspiracy, but someone recorded her meltdown and posted it. 1,000 views in a day. The comments were brutal. She told me my dog's bark was a noise violation. She measured my grass with a ruler. The dam broke. The city hearing was packed, neighbors spilling into the hall with folders of evidence. I stood at the mic, heart pounding but voice steady. "My name's Tom Harper. My land was annexed into this HOA without my say. That tractor was my dad's, my wife's, my son's. Linda stole it, no notice, no vote. When we fought back, she tried to bury us in fake citations and lies. Caleb showed the council everything permits, surveys, Mike's audit. Then the neighbors spoke. A mom fined for a wreath, a vet cited for his flag, a kid whose bike was confiscated. When Mike dropped the $45,000 bomb, the room gasped. Linda's lawyer squirmed, but she just sat there, ears red, silent for once. The mayor called the vote. all in favor of dissolving the HOA board. Every hand shot up except Linda's and her cronies. Motion passed. The room exhaled, like we'd all been holding our breath for years. Outside, someone slapped my shoulder. "You didn't just save your tractor, Tom. You saved us." Caleb grinned. Wrong family to mess with. The next week, Betsy came home on a flatbed, scuffed but whole. We parked her next to Linda's lawnmower, a pair of rebels, under the barn's tin roof. Neighbors started showing up not for fights, but for ideas. Carter wanted to rewrite the bylaws. Sarah offered to manage a new website. Mike took on the budget. Willow Creek wasn't just a neighborhood anymore. It was ours again. Caleb ran for the new HOA board and won, promising to keep it fair, to make sure no one ever felt helpless in their own home. That fall, we threw a harvest festival bonfires, pies, kids climbing on Betsy like she was a jungle gym. Linda's house stayed dark, her Cadillac long gone, her flower beds wilting. But I kept watching her windows, because people like her don't vanish, they plot. And yet, standing there with Caleb, watching firelight dance across the fields Ellen once loved, I felt something I hadn't in years: peace. We didn't just want to fight. We built something, a community, a legacy, a line in the dirt no one could cross again. So what do you think? Was this just about a tractor, or was it bigger, about power, pride, standing up when someone tries to take what's yours? Drop a comment. Tell me your story. Ever had an HOA horror show? Or maybe you've got a Linda in your life. Let's hear it, because out here, the truth's always worth fighting for.